Alright students, this is Mr. K and I am here at the site of the Battle of Yorktown. Okay, Yorktown was a siege, and right over there behind where that car just went by is a long earthworks that you can see piles of earth piled up, and that's where the British were. Behind that is the York River, where they could get reinforcements from their ships. But we had to keep, the Continental Army and our allies, had to keep them pinned back there without getting reinforcements. So that's about 400 yards from where I am right now. Now I am standing on the French earthworks where the cannons would have been. You can see the pads where the cannons and the mortars would have been. Right down there is a bunker where you keep the gunpowder to keep it dry and out of the weather. Now, behind me you'll see a cemetery, and behind it is you'll see some people out there on the hill, maybe way out there. That's the Continental Army's line. George Washington himself shoveled the first shovel of that dirt to build those earthworks, those redoubts. Okay? And they set that up in a couple days, and where they were, they would fire onto the British, wham, and keep them pinned over there behind their earthworks on their side. That's the British line over there. Now, while the Continental Army, way back over here, about 800 yards away, was firing on the British, keeping them in place, our French allies came up here and built these earthworks, these walls, right? It's like a big castle wall. And everywhere where there was a cannon, there's a cannon that goes down there. There's a low spot here in the wall. You can see kind of right here, it kind of caves in like this, where the cannon could fire. So this cannon right here could cover, you know, from that tree kind of to over there. And then the next cannon over here could cover the neck, overlap a little bit, and cover the next 15-20 degree angle. Now, interesting thing about how they laid these out is you're on a cannon emplacement now, but right there is a low hill. And if you wanted your enemy to charge you, you wanted your enemy to come out across this field and charge into the low hill between these two gun emplacements. So all the gunners here could shoot at the enemy out here in this middle bottleneck area, and then over there is another redoubt where the French would shoot at the British from as well. Now, behind the British lines at Yorktown, there behind the tree line, there's a huge river. So as long as they can get supply ships up that river, they can resupply their army and continue to hold Yorktown. But the colonists, the colonials, had railroad tracks and wagons way back there that continued to supply their line. And when the French, who helped us in that fight, and who helped us build this battle position here, got out there in the river behind where the British were, they cut them off so that they could not be resupplied. And eventually the British had to surrender. And right here is where the Revolutionary War ended and the United States of America became its own country. All right, this is Yorktown video number 2. We are standing here at a very special place. I'm standing on top of Redoubt 9. And today it's a beautiful place with butterflies and blackberries growing. And there are some replicas of some cannons from the British artillery. This was a British location, one of Cornwallis's locations, and it's famous. It's the front line of the British line at Yorktown, and way back over there was where we were in video 1 on the French lines, and even further behind it is the Continental Army lines. Now if we follow over this way where that building is, In front of that building are the main British lines. So these two redoubts that we're at right now are out in front of the battle. So it's kind of a scary place to be. Redoubt 9 was captured by Lafayette's troops and the French, and they came up over that hill and around these hills and surrounded this redoubt and took it from the British Army. Now what's really cool is way over here, let me try to zoom in, you can see another British redoubt called Redoubt 10. And everybody loves Alexander Hamilton. And in the musical Hamilton, he talks about not giving away his shot. He wanted to be a military commander. He wanted to lead men into battle. And this was his one chance. And you are looking at the ground right here is where Alexander Hamilton led his troops up to that little patch of ground up there called Redoubt 10, and he took another British location. Now once the British were pushed out of this location and Redoubt 9 where I am now, then we could move all our guns into these positions and shoot on the British lines from this side and from that side over there. So at that point, the British were pretty much surrounded at Yorktown. And when the French Navy didn't let them get resupplied, well, it was only a matter of time before the British had to surrender. And the Revolutionary War ended. And right here at Redoubt 9, George Washington himself wrote the piece of paper that General Cornwallis signed to surrender his army. And that was the end of the major battles of the Revolutionary War. Look how beautiful and peaceful it is today. It's a butterfly garden. But back in those times, it was not a fun place to be. Yorktown, Virginia. If you ever get a chance to come here and do this tour, you totally should, and you should take your time and listen carefully. But there it is. There's Hamilton's shot. Up that hill. Take that hill. And the British must surely surrender. All right, 5th grade, I'm here at Moore House. This is Battle of Yorktown video 3. And out on the York River is a model of a Chesapeake Bay schooner, or their type of low draft ships that could get in and out of all the rivers and everything. And it's going by at a perfect time for me to make this video to you, because I'm showing you this spot right here. This little house right here behind these folks is called Moore House, and that is where the British actually surrendered to the French General Lafayette and the American General George Washington. So this is it right here. This was the beginning of the United States of America's story in terms of us not being under British control anymore. So right here in this little house, which they have kept in good shape for so many years, George Washington accepted the surrender with honors from General Cornwallis, the British general. With honors means that they were allowed to walk away with their head held high, and it respected your enemy and recognized them as a military, foreign military army. So that's just fancy military speak. But it's just crazy to think that over in 1781, all those great people came together right here to change history. Moore House, where the Revolutionary War ended, The Battle of Yorktown was complete. Soon after that, the British king would acknowledge the United States as its own sovereign nation. Pretty cool stuff. Yorktown. We are here at Yorktown, and we are showing you what the city of Yorktown looks like today. It's a very quiet night. We're on Main Street, and this is what the village of Yorktown looks like today. So this is what they were fighting for, was access to this little town and all its docks and resources. Got you down to the river. Really cool alley down here. It leads you all the way down to the York River. Even more history. All the people who have lived here over the years. And heading down this hill is one of my favorite things. This big, beautiful mural they painted on the way down the street. There's a park in there that kids can play in. It used to be a site of a horrific battle. And now it's the location of a peaceful little courtyard where kids play. And I think that building right there has been renovated into some kind of school. See if I don't get squished by the truck. Picking back up the road toward the city of Yorktown and down the path toward the river. Looks like an ocean out there, but that's actually a river. Such a beautiful part of the world now.